This video is brought to you by EA Game Changers. This is kind of obvious, but EA is gonna make me say it anyway. Massive spoilers to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order ahead. What's up guys, my name is Timbo and today we're talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Or I guess it's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Star-charted among Jedi. Jedi Fallen Order was developed by Respawn Entertainment, most recently known for the Titanfall series and Apex Legends. A single-player Star Wars game had been rumored for a long time, at one point being developed by Visceral Games and written by former Naughty Dog writer Amy Hennig. While Visceral and Hennig aren't a part of this finished product, the game still manages to scream the likeness of her past work. Jedi Fallen Order is the most non-Uncharted game I have ever played, and that is not a bad thing. There's quippy one-liners.
I just heard from the captain. They're coming. Oh, this is it. At least we have the high ground.
Climbing, big explosions, swinging around, puzzle solving, more climbing, an action sequence on a moving train, vast locations, hints that show up when you don't know how to solve the puzzle, and of course, climbing. Crap. The way I see it, Fallen Order is a combination of Uncharted's adventure and tone, God of War's linear but kind of open world level design, Dark Souls save points, and Batman Arkham's combat. It's like a less good version of all of these elements, but that's not meant to be a harsh criticism, as in my opinion, all of those games are the gold standard when it comes to that specific area. Coming from someone who admittedly isn't the biggest Star Wars nerd, Jedi Fallen Order is a great, lighthearted adventure game that I highly recommend you play if you just want to have some fun. Last week's episode was on Death Stranding, and while this game is certainly not as confusing, I'm still going to give a synopsis of the story and explain the ending. Since there aren't really any new games out anymore at the moment, next week's video is going to be decided by a poll. The choices are God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. You can vote by using the link I'm providing in both the description and pinned comment. Whichever game gets the most votes will be the topic next week. If you end up enjoying this video, a positive rating is always appreciated, and for more content like this every Friday, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Without further ado, let's hop right into Uncharted Wars: Drake's Fallen Fortune. The game begins with a great overlooking shot of the planet Bracca with some poppin' tunes. We're immediately introduced to our red-headed protagonist, Cal Kestis and his buddy Prof. Cal is a former Jedi Padawan, now in hiding working in a junkyard scrapping ships from the Clone Wars. The game takes place in between episodes 3 and 4, like the film from a few years ago, Rogue One. But just so we're all on the same page, during the end of the Clone Wars, a military command known as Order 66 was given to purge all of the Jedi. I'll get into more of that later because it does play a part in the story, but as for right now, all you need to know is that Cal, being a Padawan, is in hiding. Cal and Prof climb up to take a look at a scrapped ship, only for things to go terribly wrong. The two end up having to hang on for dear life, with Prof unfortunately slipping. In order to save his friend's life, Cal is forced to use the Force to save Prof from a deadly fall. Prof makes note of this, but Cal is quick to shut him up. Unfortunately for them though, Cal has already blown his cover, making his time on the scrapping crew all but over, as the event was captured by a nearby Imperial probe droid. On a train later on, Cal begins to see the first of many visions of his tragic past. Once this happens, the train is stopped and searched by the Empire. Cal and Prof are led out of the train and lined up when two Inquisitors known as the 9th and 2nd Sisters are introduced. The 2nd Sister demands that the Force-sensitive person come forward, only for Prof to step up and say an entire speech.
We all know the truth. We're just too afraid to say it. To the Empire, we're all just expendable.
Yes, you are.
No!
Cal retaliates by pulling out his lightsaber, but the 9th Sister overpowers him and tosses Cal off a cliff onto a moving train. She could have just stabbed him, but you know, main character problems. Cal then gets into a huge action sequence filled with traversal, destruction, sliding, lightsaber battles, and whoa, is that a ship shooting at him? That is literally so unique. I have never seen someone moving on a train getting shot at by something in the air before. But seriously though, jokes aside, this section is awesome. Cal encounters the 2nd Sister, and after the first 4, count 'em, 4 mini boss battles with her, is saved by an incoming ship called the Mantis. The second sister tries to hang on and follow Cal, but she gets whipped off like a bug on the windshield wipers. Cal soon meets his rescuers, Seer Junda and Grease Dritus. Seer identifies herself as a former Jedi who has stopped using the Force, telling Cal that she knew his former Jedi master, Jaro Tapal. Seer takes Cal to the green planet Bogano. On Bogano lies an ancient vault, and Seer hopes Cal can help her open it. On his way to the vault, Cal befriends the adorable, definitely designed to sell toys droid named BD-1. BD-1 shows Cal a message from his former master, Eno Cordova. Cordova's message reveals to Cal that the vault on Bogano was built by an ancient civilization called Zepho, which are shaped exactly like the Vex from Destiny, don't at me. Cordova hid a holocron, which is something that stores information, but is only accessible by those who use the Force. This holocron in particular contains a list of known Force-sensitive children, aka the next generation of Jedi. In order to access it and protect them from the Empire, Cal must find the tombs of 3 Zepho sages. And with that, we now have our adventure. Seer believes the list could be the genesis of a restored Jedi Order that can topple the powerful Empire. However, the only way to get it is to follow Cordova's path and pass his tests. Great. With very few initial leads, the crew heads to the most obvious place you could think of, the Zepho homeworld, also called Zepho. But as in every adventure story ever, the enemy is already there. While searching for the tombs Cordova mentioned, Cal learned the Empire occupied Zepho trying to mine ancient artifacts. However, the Empire kind of continues to suck at everything, as this project was terminated after Zepho's winds proved too difficult to deal with. So yes, the winds were too strong for the entire Empire, but not strong enough to knock BD off Cal's shoulder. Just let that sink in. Uncontested, Cal and BD entered the ancient Zepho tomb and started looking for messages from Cordova. In the eye of an enormous storm, Cal and BD found the tomb Cordova was talking about. After passing Cordova's test, which I guess consisted of pushing balls into circular slots in the ground, Cal and BD found another clue from Cordova, pointing them to the planet Kashyyyk. Back on the ship, the crew talks about how they have absolutely no idea why Cordova would be sending them to Kashyyyk, which I will admit is probably the most ridiculously spelled word I've ever seen. Their plan ends up consisting of this: finding the Wookiee chieftain named Tarful, who was presumably one of Cordova's contacts and thus may have some information about the holocron. On the ride, Seer tells Cal a little bit about her past, explaining why she walked away from the Force. During the Purge, in an attempt to lure Imperial troops away from her Padawan Trilla, she was captured and tortured. Luckily, she was eventually able to escape, but this event is what caused Seer to walk away from the Force.
But they almost broke me. And I am not the same as I was, Cal.
Your Padawan. Did she survive?
No. But that's why we can't give up. We can't let the sacrifice of those closest to us be for nothing.
It became time to land on Kashyyyk. However, there is one problem. While descending onto the planet, the crew drops right in the middle of a battle between Imperial forces and freedom fighters. Cal climbs an entire AT-AT, which I will embarrassingly admit took a couple tries. After getting inside, he begins to blow the Empire to shreds until a familiar face drops on by.
Hey!
Rogue One character Saw Gerrera, rendered and voiced in complete Forrest Whitaker glory, explains how he and his fighters are in the middle of a campaign to liberate a nearby sap refinery. With the possibility that Tarful could be one of the Wookiees detained there by the Empire, Cal and BD agreed to help him. If you recognize this part, it's because it first appeared in one of the first extended gameplay demos for this game. After fighting through the Empire and some annoying droids, Cal is able to find and rescue the enslaved native Wookiees, who I will add, are absolutely terrifying. Sadly, among the Whoopi Goldbergs. Sadly, among the Wookiees, Tarful is nowhere to be found. Cal takes down an AT-ST literally all by himself, and everyone cheers. For the cause! Yay, good job, dude! Well, did freaking nothing. Luckily for Cal, one of the liberated Wookiees had fought alongside Tarful in the past. He and Mari Kosan, a member of Saw's guerrilla fighters, agreed to help find Tarful for Cal. However, just as he was told this, Cal discovered an Imperial transmission revealing the Empire was close to unearthing another tomb. Cal leaves the group to find Tarful on their own and comes aboard the Mantis to head back to Zepho. Back on Zepho, retreading the same ground he recently walked before, Cal and BD headed into the second Zepho tomb. While it was true that the Empire was closing in on another tomb, Cal ended up falling right into a trap laid by the second sister. After battling again for a short period of time, the second sister managed to get the upper hand on Cal, but before she could land the final killing blow, Cal was saved by BD, who positioned an unbreakable laser field between them. The second sister decided to unmask herself, revealing that she is Trilla, aka Cere's former Padawan. You know, the one that's supposed to be dead? Trilla tells Cal that Cere will eventually betray him, but Cal hits her with the classic "Nah son, you crazy," and walks away. On their way out of the tomb, Cal and BD found another encrypted log from Cordova, explaining that the key to the Bogano vault is a device called the Zepho Astrium, or Astrium, I honestly don't remember how they pronounced it. To access the vault, they'll need to find one. Before he could return to the ship, Cal was attacked by a bounty hunter named Mad Midge, who did this bogus crap to him. Cal awakes trapped in a cell without BD. Since he's a Force user that can do all the things, he is able to escape his cell and reunite with BD. Taking an elevator upwards brings the two right in the middle of an arena taken straight from Thor Ragnarok. Still trapped in the Haxion Brood's lair, Cal is forced to fight several rounds of fearsome creatures and enemies, only for the Mantis to abruptly end the gladiator match. Despite being rescued by Cere and Grease, the reunion wasn't exactly a happy one. Cal confronts Cere about, well, the fact that she lied about Trilla being dead, but luckily their argument was cut short.
The Empire overran our position at the refinery. Saw retreated off-world. Some of us have joined the Wookiee fighters in the forests. Be careful.
You too.
While on their way back to Kashyyyk, Grease apologizes to Cal and is actually sincere for once in a pretty good character building moment.
Before you came along, all I cared about was a tight hand on a stiff heater. That's a game term.
I know what it is.
Cal, life's not a game. Before you two, all I cared about was myself. Easy money. Now it's different.
After fighting his way through a bunch of bugs, climbing over disgusting Venus flytrap looking things, and jumping on the world's weirdest trampolines, Cal locates Mari and Tarful. Mari provides Cal with a nice little device that will help him breathe underwater, while Tarful tells Cal that the answers he seeks can be found at the top of Kashyyyk's origin tree. Which, let me get this straight. We risked life and limb 2 times to find this Wookiee. This whoopee. And all he did was tell us that Cordova hid his message at the top of the giant, frickin' obvious tree we've been seeing the entire time. What an essential role Tarful played in this story. Really couldn't have done it without you. With Saw dipping from the Resistance, probably because Forrest Whitaker is too expensive, and the Empire having invaded while Cal was captured, Mari and Tarful inform Cal that they're going to continue fighting. On the way to the top of the tree, Cal encounters the 9th sister again, who in another attempt to kill Cal, ends up sending him on the world's longest slip and slide. After climbing more in some extremely uncharted looking camera angles, Cal encounters one big old bird that also has a ridiculous name. Cal heals the poor sucker as it was injured by a piece of the 9th sister's ship, and it ends up taking Cal and BD to the top of the tree. In another message from Cordova, he tells Cal that the Astrium can be found in a Zepho tomb on the planet Dathomir. On his way back down, Cal is caught by the 9th sister again, and it becomes time for them to go toe-to-toe. After battling fiercely and going as far as cutting off her arm, Cal ends the battle by showing the 9th sister the proper way to throw someone off a cliff. Cal and BD make it back to Cere and Grease and inform them of what happened. I'm gonna let this entire conversation play out because it's semi-important, but I mainly just want you to all pay attention to Grease and the amount of salt that he is putting on his food.
Cal, when I was captured by the Empire, I resisted. I swore to myself that I would die before I would talk. But then this dark shadow came. And he was worse than any nightmare I could have imagined. And I still fought. But in the end, I came apart.
The Mantis lands on Dathomir, a desolate and dangerous planet. It doesn't take long before Cal is impeded by Night Sister Marin, who blames the Jedi for the massacre of her people during the Clone Wars. The Night Sister demanded they leave the planet immediately. When they refused, she commanded Night Brothers to attack them. Shortly after escaping the threat, Cal and BD-1 came upon one shady, Voldemort-looking wanderer who claimed to be studying Zepho ruins. Outside the entrance of the tomb, Cal's progress is stalled again by one hilarious Night Brother.
Die!
On their detour back to the tomb, Cal and BD were once again found by Night Sister Merrin, who began raising undead Night Sisters to attack them. Inside a dark cave, BD found climbing claws on a Night Brother corpse. Just as they encountered another big old bird, only this time it was not at all friendly. It snatched them into an aerial battle, culminating in a crash that killed the bat-like beast. Cal and BD were able to traverse through the Night Brother lair and make it all the way back to the tomb. Inside, Cal sees a flashback of Order 66, the past event that still haunts him to this day. We get to see this event play out as members of the Galactic Republic turn into the Galactic Empire, identifying all Jedi as traitors. The Order came top secret, and due to control chips implanted in their brains, the clone troopers were unable to disobey. Cal and Jaro nearly escape, but at the very last minute, Jaro forgets how to deflect the terrible aim of the clones and gets shot up a bunch of times. On an escape pod, Jaro says his final goodbye to Cal.
Remember, trust only in the Force.
Yes, Master.
Back in present day, Cal becomes confronted by a dark version of Jaro. This phantom ends up shattering Cal's lightsaber, rendering him completely defenseless. Outside, Cal is approached by the Wanderer again, who takes off his cloak to show off just how hot he is. The Wanderer reveals himself as Malicos, a former Jedi now studying the dark side. Malicos asks Cal to join his quest for power, but was cut off by the annoying Merrin. She raises a horde of undead to destroy them, causing Cal and BD to rush back to the Mantis. Cal comes back on the ship and begins to feel sorry for himself, blaming himself for the death of his master. Cere quickly snaps him out of it, explaining the rest of her traumatic backstory. She explains how seeing Trilla as an Inquisitor caused her to tap into the dark side. This moment is what truly caused Cere to step away from the Force, as she had lost all trust for herself. Cere encourages Cal to forgive himself and move on. The first step she gives him is to build his own lightsaber. Cere gives Cal her lightsaber hilt, and Cal heads out to discover who he is. After solving some puzzles from no game I've ever seen before, Cal takes a swim and locates a kyber crystal to rebuild his lightsaber. BD triggers another log from Cordova, revealing that BD sacrificed his memories to store logs vital to Cal's quest, which is really kind and all, but I'm just sort of surprised as to why they didn't get that poor droid a bigger hard drive. Using his scrapping skills along with Cere and Jaro's hilts, Cal is able to create a lightsaber with single, double, and dual wield butt-kicking capabilities. On their way out of the cave, Cal discovered a massive Imperial mining operation designed to extract the planet's kyber crystals. Cal and BD fought their way back to the Mantis, utilizing all of Cal's new tricks. Back on the Mantis and his lightsaber reforged, it was time for Cal to return to Dathomir and face the dark side once again. Back on Dathomir, Cal heads over to the tomb again and faces off against Jaro's spirit, who this time is able to conquer by letting go of the past. Cal knelt down before Jaro's specter, which caused the apparition to vanish. Past the doors, they were once again met by Merrin. However, this time she was willing to talk. She explained to Cal how she is the last surviving Night Sister after the massacre carried out by General Grievous during the Clone Wars. Once Cal told her about the Jedi Purge, she ended up sympathizing with him, allowing Cal to pass. She warned him that Malicos, the fallen Jedi, was ahead. But Cal didn't really seem to care all that much and just kept on going. Confronted by Malicos again, he tried one last time to turn Cal. When he refused, Malicos had no other choice but to attack, leading us into another boss fight. After battling, Merrin decided to step in and help Cal defeat Malicos, blasting him with a bunch of her magic. After Malicos was defeated, Cal tells Merrin that he came to Dathomir for the Astrium. With nothing really left to lose, Merrin agreed to help Cal, the two finding it inside the tomb. Despite being really frickin' annoying throughout the entire game, Merrin has a heart-to-heart with Cal, and he invites her to join the Mantis crew, which she accepts. She doesn't stop annoying the crap out of me though, that doesn't change. And finally, it is now time to return to Bogano and unlock this stinking vault. Cal and BD do so, going back to the location where the game practically began. Just as he's about to use the Astrium, Cal gets sucked into one big illusion, seeing himself as the leader of the new Force-sensitive children, only for them to get massacred by the Empire. He then sees himself as an Inquisitor, which I will admit, red is not a bad color on him. Just saying, Cal's already got the red hair. Once the Mirage of Swords ends, Cal is met by Trilla again. The two fight for the third time, but this time still is not the last time, as Cal pulled her lightsaber and was thrusted into a Force echo. In it, he sees Trilla and Cere tortured. He sees how Cere left Trilla behind, and he sees the instance where Trilla turned and Cere retaliated by tapping into the dark side. When he awakes, Trilla is gone with the holocron, forcing Cal to head back to the Mantis empty-handed. As an inspiring last-ditch effort, Cere resumes her position as Jedi Master, and in probably the biggest Star Wars fan boner moment of the game, grants Cal the rank of Jedi Knight.
Rise, Jedi Knight. You are ready.
So are you.
The crew then sets off after the Empire to retrieve the holocron, which, I mean, all the Empire has to do is open the holocron and see the names, which should only take like, what, 2 seconds? They could write the names down and make a nice little Excel spreadsheet with everyone listed, share that on a nice Google Doc so everyone can see it. I don't know, the Empire is stupid, don't think too much about it. The Mantis crew heads on over to the Empire's fortress, which is interestingly underwater. Merrin used her magic to cloak the ship while Cal and Cere infiltrated together, battling stormtroopers and flooding certain areas. We even get to see Cere do some battling, and she is somehow not rusty at all. Cal makes it into the interrogation chamber, where he is met by Trilla once again. What a big surprise. Only this time the two actually have a boss fight that lasts longer than 30 seconds. Cal takes her down and steals the holocron back. It's not long before Cere joins him, which would have been helpful 5 minutes ago, but is kinda useless now. Cere steps in and apologizes to Trilla, who is clearly filled with anger and resentment. Just as it seemed like the plea might reach her, something rather unexpected happens. I take back my statement about the knighting being the biggest Star Wars fanboy moment, because this definitely takes the cake.
That doesn't look good.
It isn't. It's him.
You have failed me, Inquisitor.
Avengers!
Run!
Cal is forced to run for his life, having literally no chance to even touch Vader, which is honestly really cool. They did a great job in making him seem insanely powerful. They didn't even bother giving him a health bar, this dude is so strong. Vader traps Cal and Cere, who I honestly thought died, but yeah, whatever, she's alive. Cere uses the Force to protect Cal and hold back Vader. Just as he's about to get through, Cal breaks the glass and escapes with Cere, leaving Vader there doing his best waterbender impersonation. Cal loses oxygen underwater, but it's okay because Merrin comes in to save him. In the final moments with the holocron in their possession, the crew wonders what to do with the information they now hold. In true Harry Potter snapping the Elder Wand fashion, Cal decides in the end to destroy the holocron, leaving the children safe with their fates in the hands of the Force. And that, my friends, is the complete story of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order explained. If you enjoyed this video, leaving a positive rating is greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Next week's episode is going to be decided by that poll, so make sure to send in your votes. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.